Hello YouTubes, this is Grimweird coming back at you with more Enigmatica 2 Expert Mod Pack playthrough action for Minecraft 1.12.2. As always, we are joined by our lovely avatar, Zombie Steve. So when last I left you, I had used the building gadgets from Direwolf 20 mod to go to creative and make sort of a one-story mage tower base, and then I took that and paste bend it over to here, or just pasted it over here into the from the creative world into this world, into the building tool, or the copy paste tool from building gadgets, and then use that to plop down 3 levels of it here to build us a nice little tower. And now I've gone through and added a roof to it. I decided I didn't want to go any higher because my next level is going to be like in a cloud bank, which is always sort of awkward. So I just sort of added a fancy top to it. I put some marble pillars with sea lanterns on it. I put a beacon on it just for kicks and giggles, just because I thought it sort of looked nice. So far I've got just my low-level astral sorcery and light well up here. I went ahead and put the elevators in. So on the top floor, what I've got here is a research table. What got me the idea to put a beacon on top was that I made a beacon and put it up top, but then realized that to be useful as a resource aid for the table, it needed to be within 4 blocks or something silly. So I went ahead and put it down here and just made a second one for up there just for appearance's sake. We don't actually need to run the beacon with buffs because our personal beacon from Environmental Tech is on point. So what I've got here is basically just the Thaumcraft research thing with the arcane workbench and a crucible and a bookcase and an enchantment altar and a beacon as my research aids so far. This sort of looks like a jumbled incongruous mess here, but I do sort of want them for the research aids here. What I might do is just hide them in the floor once I get everything settled. There's going to be 3 or 4 more that I make, research aids that I make as I move through thaumaturgy. So at some point I may not need some of these, or I may have more than these. So this will all just change and be a little bit better. This is probably not going to be where I put it, but I've got another maximum compact machine, so this is a 13 by 13 on the inside, and that's where I'm probably going to put the crucible that I actually use. So right now we've got a crucible down here that we've used for some just initial work, and we will probably move that into a compact machine to sort of try and contain any kind of flux or taint or warp, or I don't even know what all nastiness that happens in that because it's changed since I used it last. But so we got that going on. Middle floor I haven't done anything yet with. This floor I just sort of threw some stuff in here that I want to be using, but I haven't set anything up yet. One thing that I do want to do is put my Petal Apothecary in here, and as you can see I started fiddling around here and then decided that I better do some experimentation somewhere more open so I can figure out what I'm doing. I've got my 1 pure daisy here. As soon as I get my Petal Apothecary fixed out, I'm going to make 2 more pure daisies. So this is where I will be making living rock and living wood. As you can see, I've fleshed out the courtyard. I decided to go with grass, and we're probably going to have a big astral sorcery temple sort of under where I am now. We're going to have some mana spreaders and endoflames in here. I'm not exactly sure what all I'm going to need or what all it's going to look like, but I think most of my Botania stuff will fit near the tower, and I think this back half will be big enough, wide enough, and square enough for a big astral sorcery extravaganza. So that's sort of the plan there. I haven't done astral sorcery past what I've done in this mod already, which isn't a whole bunch, as you can tell from my tiny little table here. but I have seen others build the big structures, so I know what I'm up against. I've got a couple of peacocks here. The only reason I have a couple peacocks here is that I think there was some recipe that needed peacock feathers. I brought the dogs over, Zoe and Wash. Sort of happy with how this turned out. I sort of like the chiseled spikes for iron bars and the ruined marble. I think this all looks good. So basically what I'm working on now, and the thing I wanted to show you, was I want to put my Petal Apothecary in here. And one of the things I hate about the Petal Apothecary is constantly getting water to it. So what I'm doing down in the workshop is I'm trying to automate putting water in the Petal Apothecary. And almost more importantly, so that in itself is not that hard of a thing to do. However, what I want to try and do is not screw up my feng shui. I want to not have Ender.io fluid pipes or Ender.io item pipes throwing buckets everywhere. I want to try and keep it very discreet and compact and as hidden away as possible. And that actually does make this a bit of a challenge. However, if there was ever a mod pack to make something like that work, it would be this one, because we got tons and tons of mods here. So I dug through what I had in the old ME system and made a few things. One of the things I wanted to try and play around with, because I never had, was we got 4 Phantomfaces as a reward. And so I thought I would try those. I had some mechanical users that I made when I was experimenting with trying to use those as clickers of flint and steel to make grains of affinity. Turns out the dispensers were a much easier and better option, but I tried it with that. I made one of these automatic precision droppers because it looks sort of cool. I forget why exactly I wanted to do it. I think it was just the fact that I could put it high up. So if we look at where I want to put it, I'm going to put it downstairs, but you can imagine I could put the Petal Apothecary in the floor here, and I could put that dropper in the ceiling there. And if I have a precision dropper, then with only a little blemish in the ceiling and a little place for throwing in my petals here, if I can hide all the rest of it, that is very low impact and very low visual impact for that system. But the question is, how do you make all that work? And that's what I've been tinkering with for the last half hour or so, probably a bit more. And I think I got things figured out. So what I got going on here is a mechanical user facing into the water. So you can see we've got this side here that has the little design on it, the dot with the square around it. It's facing into the water. We've got it set up with an empty bucket. We've got it set for redstone off, generic click, right click, random slot. None of that particularly matters, I don't think, other than the redstone off. What we've got here is a basic good old Redstone Comparator, which I haven't used in like 5 years, but it's a classic. So basically what it's doing right now is that with the two-pronged end facing the container, in this case that container is a Petal Apothecary that has a bucket of water in it. The fact that it is full is giving it a redstone signal, and it's saying, hey, this is full, redstone signal. So it's giving a redstone signal to this, and redstone means off. So this is not doing anything. The mechanical user is not doing anything because the Petal Apothecary is full. Petal Apothecary full gives a redstone signal. Redstone signal off means that it's not doing anything. So then what I have is an Ender.io tube set to extract, always active, and I've got a filter on it to take out filled water buckets. So it's obviously leaving alone the empty water bucket that is in there, but the moment this goes empty and this redstone signal goes off, this should click the bucket into the water. it will get a filled bucket water, and this pipe will extract it and insert it into this Phantomface. And the Phantomface is connected to, and you can sort of put it here with a dark background, range 16, so that's what the range of these. There are boosters for Phantomfaces, but the connected block is automatic precision dropper at minus 2030, 7 minus 2090, that is 5 blocks away. So that's that bad boy. So when a filled water bucket gets put into here, it's the same as putting it into there. And then this thing should drop it. And when it drops a full water bucket onto here, it will fill this up and give an empty water bucket, which leads us back to here. So this is a Random Things Advanced Item Collector. And this is basically like a vacuum chest. It's a little bit more customizable. You can customize the range, and you can put a item filter in it from Random Things. So if we take this out for a moment and hold it in our hand and right click on it, you can see it has your general whitelist kind of thing. And I have created this this item filter is a whitelist to only suck up buckets. And this was important to me because I don't want any kind of vacuum chest. Like if I'm trying to throw petals into the Petal Apothecary, I don't want them being sucked up into a damn chest, because nothing upsets me more. Well, okay, there's lots of things that upset me more, but that's pretty annoying. So now you can see with that filter in there, I can throw dirt at it all day. Nothing happens. I throw an empty bucket, boom, it gets sucked right up. If we look in here, we now have 2. And the other sort of nice thing about that, which is important for, whoops, what did I do? I think I just threw that in the water. That's not good. The other thing that's nice about that is that if we look here, if I throw it out here, it's still going to get sucked in the chest, so it does not need line of sight. Boom. So it actually took it in through blocks. And that's important because I want to be hiding most of this under the floor. So I was really happy when I saw that, and that makes me think that yes, this is definitely going to work. I am going to, I'll need to get that dirt out of there because I don't want it to mess with anything we're doing. So I'm going to suck the water out. Whoops. Just going to break this, get the dirt out. And let's try all this again. And the Petal Apothecary went to my ME system. So let's see how this works. So it threw the bucket at me, so this has no bucket in it right now. So we're going to empty a bucket. Actually, let's empty a bucket into here. And then we can put the empty bucket there. And now this should be the status quo. Now let's say I take my other bucket. I'm going to empty this so we can demonstrate. Alright, so everything's good, and I do something at my Petal Apothecary that uses up the water. So what should happen is this will go empty, this redstone signal will turn off. That means that this mechanical user will scoop up a bucket of water, which means the Ender IO tube should suck out the full bucket of water and put it into the Phantomface, which is the same as putting it into this redstone dropper, and the redstone dropper should drop a bucket of water on here. And then this Random Things Advanced Item Collector with an item filter set to empty buckets should suck the empty bucket back in, and we shall be reset. So if we take the water out, and it took it a bit, but it did it. So I think the problem I'm having there, the reason it took a moment, was that this is clicking fast enough that it is clicking water into and out of it. So I'm not sure if, and so then it has to sort of match its speed here. So let's try this again, except we'll watch what's going on in the mechanical user. So we'll do this. Oh, and it just worked. That time it worked right away. Let's keep going. So sometimes it is taking it a while, and I think it's just meeting up the signal between when the pipe tries to pull and matching an in-between for, getting an in-between state for the mechanical user having that. Let's try again. Boom, did it first time. Try again. Did it first time. Did it. So other than a slight lag delay, which I bet you I could, let's see. Well, actually, I don't think I could help this anymore by, we only want to take out one item, so I don't think any kind of speed upgrade here will do it. See, I'm trying to think if there's any way. Redstone off, redstone pulse. Wonder what that would do. Nada. Alright, well, I think that's going to be good enough. Generic kick, click, place block, use item on block, activate block with item, entity. So we definitely want generic click. We definitely want right click. Wonder what happens if I tell it upper left slot only. I don't think it's going to matter. It's basically just a matter of this needs to pull at the same time that this has a bucket that isn't in use. So other than, instead of this sending a constant signal, now what I could probably do is feed this comparator into something that then had a bit of a timer on it, so that it would just pulse slower at this thing when it was on. But I don't think I need to get that complicated, because I think the bottom line is that's going to be fast enough. It'll do it first time a lot of the times, and it might take like a few seconds some other times, like that one. So I think I'm in business. Yep, I like it. So I'm going to have that sitting up into the ceiling in my base. And I'm going to have that sitting down into the floor in my base. And it should be pretty nondescript. The only thing I then have to figure out is I might have to run a bit of redstone. I want to get this down a block or two. So I might have to make this signal travel down a block or two, so that I can put my infinite pool and these two things down under the floor of my base. But I should be able to just, run a redstone line down to them and make this all work. So there you go. I just thought I would, I was experimenting on this out here where I could see it all, and it's going to be hard to see and hard to explain once I put it in the base, but I wanted to show you what I was doing here. This is pretty cool. I was sort of not really having a good idea how to do this. I knew I could probably use the mechanical user and inner tubes and all of that stuff, but I'd never used a Phantomface before. And the fact that that I already had some of these that I had made or that I got from a loot chest, it gave me a perfect chance to try those out. And to do that, basically you just you set it down next to an inventory. Or no, wait, you don't set it down next to inventory. That's what these two, the Ender IO conduits are for. What you do is you set it down within 16 blocks or more blocks if you have a booster on it. You click on the inventory you want it to attach to, and then you click on the Phantomface and it attaches to it. And then anything that you shove into or out of the Phantomface goes into or out of there. The weird part that confused me was that unlike an Ender chest, I cannot get at this inventory. So if I right click on this, I can't get anything out of it. It doesn't hold anything. You can't access anything in or out of it. It literally is just a virtual extension of this one. So you can pipe things into it and pipe things out of it, but you can't actually get into it or out of it because it's literally just part of that. But that's cool. 16 range is going to be plenty for me to hide this under the floor and put that in the ceiling without running Ender IO conduits through my walls and up my walls and in my base, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to go tear this down now and install it in the base. And I'm not sure what runtime we're at, but when I get all this installed, I will come back and we'll see if it works. And we'll make a couple more pure daisies to put in my courtyard so that I can make multiples of living rock at a time. So I will be back shortly. Okay, we are back and we have it installed. So one thing that was hampering me hiding it flush with the floor was that the comparator had to be touching the base of the pedestal, and then I had to have a signal coming off of there. So that means these two spots, these two floor spaces were taken up. And that means I have to have a ledge here. So I moved it. I was going to put it in this corner, but since I needed basically three blocks in a row, that would have taken me out to here. I decided to move it to this corner so I could do sort of a windowsill kind of option here. And I think it turned out fine. So we've got a full Petal Apothecary, which is telling the signal here to be on because it's full. We got that traveling down onto the mechanical user. The mechanical user has the empty bucket in it, and it only uses the empty bucket when redstone is off, which means it'll only use it when this goes empty and this redstone signal goes off. We've got the advanced item collector, which has plenty of range. It's going up 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's still going to collect things here. And then we've got it with an item filter in it for just empty buckets. So that's in place. And then we've got conduits in the back, Ender IO conduits in the back, filtered to just suck out full buckets from the mechanical user into the Phantomface, and the Phantomface is connected to this. So if we test it real quick here, we should be able to, let me empty this bucket. So if we do something in here, boom, it'll drop a bucket, fill it up, the bucket will get sucked back in, and we are good to go. And so now we can button that floor up. Empty this real quick. And we can button the floor up without touching our redstone trail there. And it looks pretty clean. I think that looks pretty darn clean for having endless supply of water pumped into our Petal Apothecary. I think that's going to be just fine. Yeah, the thing I wanted to avoid was, having big lakes of water and machinery and conduits running everywhere. So from the inside, the only real thing we're impinging on is I have to put this ledge in, but that's fine. I can set some stuff on it. maybe set some potted plants on it, or put things on it, decorations of some sort. And of course from the outside, even though this is like a single wall thickness, everything looks normal from the outside. My peacocks kept wanting to come after my little water pit, so I put a trough of water out here for them so that they would stop nosing through. They kept trying to nose through the wall and get out the water under there because they were thirsty. But yeah, we have plumbing, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. So this is sort of my own design. I did see a YouTube video from somebody named Chokester from 2016, which you could see if you Google on your YouTube search for Automated Petal Apothecary and just look for a 2016 one from Chokester. He used a mechanical user with a bucket and a Redstone Comparator to tell whether this was full or not. I did change it up a bit in that I'm using a Phantomface and a precision dropper, whereas he just piped it with interconduits up to an open crate, a Botania open crate. But I didn't. The open crate has a bad enough aim that I'd probably have to have the open crate here, and then I'd probably have to be running conduits up the wall. So I wanted to avoid that. So this is taking a similar idea, but using the Phantomface and the precision dropper to clean it up and make it a little more unobtrusive for a more discreet build. And I like it. The use of Phantomface and precision dropper, I didn't see that anywhere when I was Googling and YouTubing for this, but I can highly recommend it as a way to do this discreetly if you're the type of person that likes to hide your tubes and hide all the magic, which I am when I'm doing a cosmetic build. Now down in my for most of what you've seen me do in this playthrough, I haven't been doing that because, quite frankly, I didn't know what the hell I was doing with most of these mods when I started out, so I didn't know what to do and what to hide and et cetera, et cetera. But now that we're getting on in things and I'm sort of getting familiar with all these mods and their capabilities, I'm trying to get back to doing things a bit more aesthetically pleasing. And this is probably a bit busier and more colorful than I like, but it still looks visually interesting, and that's what I was going for here. So I can't remember what this looked like last time I showed you. I think last time I showed you I had just plopped down the 3 stories. So if you hadn't watched that one, I went to a creative world and made sort of a 1-story building like this, and then used the building gadgets mod, the copy paste tool, to copy that design, and then I pasted that design into this world in the template manager, and then that allowed me to use the copy paste tool here to paste each floor. So I pasted a floor and then pasted a second and then pasted a third, and now I've just added some stuff to the ceiling. So some sea lanterns and some marble pillars just to sort of roll with the whole astral sorcery theme. I originally made a beacon for the sole purpose of being a research aid for my Thaumcraft research table and put it up here, but then realized it was too far away. So if we come down to the the top floor, with my research table here, you can see I've got 5 research aids loaded into it for the Crucible, Beacon, Arcane Workbench, Bookshelf, and Enchantment Table. However, I think everything has to be within 4 spots, so that's why this is all sort of cramped and I don't know, it doesn't look right because they don't all fit together. So I may hide some of the stuff under the floor. I may put like the bookshelf and the beacon under the floor, and hide those like under some of these other blocks, just to try and clean that up a bit. I've also got another maximum compact machine here, 13 by 13, so I can put my working crucible. This crucible is just a research aid for the table, but I need to put a working crucible probably in there, so that if I have any kind of taint or warp or woof or bass or treble or whatever it is that Thumbcraft does these days. I can try and contain it in a pocket dimension while I figure out how that all works. And this isn't the enchantment table I'll use because I don't want to put a bunch of books here for that, so I don't think I even have any enchanting left to do, but I do have some enchantment machines downstairs, so I might set up an enchantment table like down here, or an enchanter machine, because I've got like the extra utilities enchanter, I've got the Ender IO enchanter, so I've got multiple things going on, which I haven't decided how I'm going to handle those quite yet. So that's what's going on inside already. I'm happy with the Petal Apothecary. I did check it out and used it to build 2 more daisies. Peacock better not mess around with my daisies. I wonder if they can use a trough to get out of here too. I better move the trough away from. I wonder if the water goes everywhere if I break this. Shall we find out? Nah, let's leave it. But yeah, the apothecary works, Petal Apothecary works. I'm happy with how the walls turned out. I've got ruined marble and then iron bars chiseled to the spike. Got plenty of room here for an astral sorcery. Extravaganza. I'm not really familiar with the end game of astral sorcery, but I did take a look at what that is, and I think the final one is some like at least 13 by 13, maybe even bigger, 15 by 15. But I should have plenty of room out here for my astral sorcery, high-level astral sorcery temple. I'm going to have some room out here for some Botania stuff, some Endoflames and mana spreaders and sparks and all of that garbage. I've got a couple of peacocks, mostly just because I think there's some recipe that I needed some peacock feathers for, so I just brought a couple of those over in case I need them. I brought Zoe and Wash over from here. Got to move over this assembly, my mana pools, and I'm probably going to need more mana pools and more Endoflames and more mana spreaders. So as soon as I figure out what I'm doing, I'll move all this stuff over to the courtyard. But things are coming along. Like I said, we're having a couple of episodes of just sort of infrastructure, of building a topside magic base and getting supplies together and things like that. When it comes to getting supplies together, I can't remember if I showed you this, but we've got around 1,000 each of most of the Viz crystals, only 712 of the Perdicio because they're a bit harder to see. So if we can't remember if I showed this or not already, but basically we've been getting lots of those from the deep dark. Whenever I go down there, I grab some. Until now I have so many that I'm not quite sure what to do with them all. But down here in the deep dark, you can definitely see that you can find lots and lots of crystals. So that's been one bonus of coming to the deep dark. And I've been doing some digital miner activity down here for draconium and the nuclear craft ores. So that's going on, and that place looks pretty wild when you have a bunch of cave illuminators in there and night vision. That's about it. So I think next time we're gonna, let me break out the dreaded quest book and try and figure out what we need to do next. Quest book. I haven't used it in a couple of episodes, so now I'm not sure what I've done with it. There it is. Alrighty. So Thaumcraft, I went and scanned everything that I have in the base, so that's going good. So now basically we just need to start doing some of that research. I need to figure that out and work on it. Botania, need to get into the runic altar and this stuff. It's been a long time since I've done any of that, so I don't remember how all that works. This is probably what I'll do next, is a mana tablet. I already have a band of mana thanks to some loot chests. So a mana tablet and an alchemy catalyst. I think an alchemy catalyst is probably where I need to go next. So that's what I'll do next time, is probably start heading down this way and spreading through Botania a bit. Start cleaning some of this out. And then we'll get into Thaumcraft as I figure out the new research system in Thaumcraft 6. All right, well, I'm babbling at this point, so I'm going to call it an episode, but that's how things are going. Things are going good. I probably have another load of plutonium ready to harvest, but I'm already up to 1,000 plutonium, and each of those is 9 tiny piles of plutonium. So I'm up to a lot of plutonium, and I've got another load probably ready to harvest. So I think I've got all the plutonium and therefore plutonium I'm probably ever going to need, which means I probably don't need to be making too much more cyanite. I think I have near all the cyanide I need, but then again I have all the uranium I'm ever going to need, so I guess I'll leave this rolling for now. Yeah, so things are going well. So we'll get, after this brief couple of episode interludes of setting up a base upstairs and getting organized for some magic stuff, I think we are ready to put the pedal back to the metal and start bashing through this quest book some more on Botania and Thaumcraft and Astral Sorcery. So we're going to get back after it starting next episode. The only other thing I need to do, which might cause me some delay, is I need to get my ME system inventory piped up here somehow. So I need to look into doing some sort of quantum thing or something, whatever allows me to access my ME network up here when it is actually 3 chunks away and 60 blocks down, 70 blocks down. So I do need to worry about that, but that's the only other sort of infrastructure thing I'm worried about right at the moment. So at the beginning of next episode, I'll tell you what I worked out for that. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.